It was tough growing up, but I discovered that some way, somehow, Satan strategically planted very dangerous people around me. I brought my mom into things that made her cry. I have all the most dangerous kids in school. I told God, I said, I'm giving you between now, this tomorrow, that's 25th of December, and 31st of December to change my life. I told God, I said, if you don't change my life, please, I don't want to shout Happy New Year. My name is Owoduni Timloluajo. I got saved in the year 2004. Here is my salvation story, that truly Jesus still saves. Well, I was a minister's kid, a pastor's kid in quotes. It was tough growing up. Of course, we were taught in the way of the Lord. We were, in church conferences. My mom would lead us to pray and do all of those kind of things. But I discovered that some way, somehow, Satan strategically planted very dangerous people around me who then began to become like a very negative influence on my own life. It kept building up, from primary school. I have all the most dangerous kids in school kind of attracted to me, and some way, somehow we flocked together. I was trying out things with them. But some way, somehow, the mercy of God kept, guiding and piloting my steps, helping me that I didn't necessarily fall into anything that would have brought me to a state where I'll be beyond repair. It was tedious, I would say. It was tedious. Several times I brought my mom into things that made her cry. I can remember once when she was invited to my school because I had just been suspended from school. Of course, when you roll with the wrong kids, when they are escaping from whatever they've done, you get caught. So I was caught, I was set up and all of that, then I was suspended, sorry. Brought my mom to school, she cried, said so many things. God has said this about you, all the promises, she rehearsed them to me. But I just couldn't help myself from, falling into each of those evils and in each of those problems and temptations from time to time. By the year 1999, by that time I'd lived with my parents for quite a while, for some years, and I will keep saying this, wherever I'm asked to speak. I had somebody in our house whose life was too contagious for me. It was too strong. It was too compelling. And that was my father. Despite all the things I would find myself doing, getting into troubles here and there, he just knew what God spoke to him about me and maintained his focus on it. So, while I was still worried for my life, my father rather focused on modeling Christ to me as opposed to preaching. So I can't remember, there was never a day he sat me down and said, Jesus loves you, and he never said those things to me. He just lived the life of Christ before me to see, and it was too strong for me to ignore. So it became a problem. I was seeing that life. The life was placing a demand on my own life at that point to say, Mr. Man, something is wrong with the way you are living. You are living short of what God has created you to be. But some way, somehow, I didn't know how to transition from my old life into the life that I actually want to live, which is the life of Christ. So in 1999, I can't forget there was a service ongoing. I was still very young. The sermon was coming so strong at me, and I just felt, this is my time to make that decision. I took the bold step and stepped out to dedicate my life to Christ, and the head of the ushering unit saw me coming with the rest of the people who were coming to the altar, and he sent me back. Like, who is this small boy? Did you understand this sermon at all? What are you looking for here? You think we are sharing biscuits? Go to your seat, Joe. And then they took in all of the elders, people that were much more grown up. And then I was tossed back into my life of struggle and sin. So between 1999 and the year 2004, I was just struggling. Each time I would watch my father's life, and I'm compelled, but I didn't ask him any questions to say, how can I try? I didn't ask those questions. Some way, somehow, he too didn't ask me anything. We were just living together, and I was just challenged on a daily basis. So by the end of 2004, this was now December period, I think on the 24th of December, I just got to a point and I said, okay, prior to that point, I think I forced myself to join. There was a baptismal class. I went to the baptismal class. I heard that sometimes when people are dipped into water, they come out as completely different people. People are, sometimes they are still in the spirit. People are praying in tongues. I'm like, okay, it looks like there's something inside the water that converts people. Let me just go and join this group. So I joined that team, and they dipped me into the water. I came out. I was just wet. That's all. Nothing changed. And then after my clothes were dried, I came back to my normal. I tried my best. I really tried. I tried not to speak to anybody so that I won't even offend anybody. I tried to be by myself so that I'm not fighting anybody. Just trying to maintain my salvation that I've not received. And yeah, it didn't work out. Got back to school that season, had some of the worst fights, and all manner of things happened. So by the end of that year, I was tired trying. So 24th of December, I told God, I was just on my bed in my room, and I said, God, I've seen my father's life is so, how is somebody living like this? Is this person a human being? I just want to be like him first. Let's start from let's start from there. So whatever you can do, I told God, I said, I'm giving you between now, tomorrow, that's 25th of December, and 31st of December, to change my life. I told God, I said, if you don't change my life, please, I don't want to shout Happy New Year in 2005. Is that how you kill me or you save me? It was now crunch time. And I wasn't joking. I was really ready to die. So, and I told him, I said, I'm not going to eat all the Christmas food, and I'm not eating. I want to be saved. I want to be saved, And for me, this emphasizes the fact that sometimes there are people who have gotten to that point of decision, and people are around them, but they are not sensitive enough to pick it and to guide them through. So I was at that point, nobody knew, nobody helped me. So I was there by myself, fasting and just talking to God and saying, change my life, do whatever you can do. Then I promise that I will give you the glory and all of that. On the 31st of December, watch night service, everybody was doing their thing, and I can't forget where I stood at the corner somewhere. It was an open air service. There was no call for salvation and all of that. We came to church and everybody we're going to shout Happy New Year and go back home. Where I stood there at the back, I felt like God came into that meeting, and something was taken out of my heart, which, brings to mind the book of Ezekiel chapter, I think 36 there, from verse 25. It says, I will give you a new heart. I felt like an operation happened to me, like the old heart I had was taken away and a new heart was given to me. I just felt I'm no more the same. And then a conversation between myself and God opened up, and that was where I became saved. And then I got back to school in 2005, and some of my colleagues walked up to me and said, something is just different about you. What happened to you over the holiday? You have actually changed. I'd not said anything to them at that point. I'd not said anything to anybody. I'd not even started preaching or sharing my story with anybody. But it was evident to them that my life had been transformed, with or without even any effort on my own end. I'm very grateful to God for this experience. I'm actually laughing because somebody said something to my face. He said, Temi, there's a way you compel all of us to follow you. This was said by one of my schoolmates then. So, I mean, then I would organize people, jump over the fence and go out of your hostel. Not like we're going to do anything. We just want to experiment things that we read in books. We want to experiment the things we heard happening in federal government colleges. So, I mean, I would lead them on things like that. We were kind of at the end of Lagos. So we're sitting in between like Lagos and then the Atlantic Ocean. So I would lead them to all of those points. We just walk around in the bush, just doing things that didn't make any sense. So coming to find Christ, each of my friends got saved one after the other. And then, that was when one of them walked up to me and said, see now, when we're all doing rubbish, you're the one that was leading us around. Now you have dragged all of us into Christ. And I mean, they're all standing today in the different parts of the world where they are. So I would say that was one of the major things that happened to me. Of course, I got saved, and for me, I didn't even have any space to literally sit down to grow. Maybe God just took it like, I've made you watch your father for a while, and everything that you need to have learned, you have learned watching. It's just that we have been waiting for you to get saved to then push you into the field. So I got saved, and we used to attend, I mean, everybody in the hostel then, we all arrange ourselves and go to Redeem. We're about 300 students. Immediately I got saved and got back to school, the school authorities stopped us from going to Redeem, and they said they are not comfortable the way boarders go out of the premises, and then they want us to start a fellowship. And they just walked up to me and said, you are going to be the pastor of the fellowship. They didn't ask me if I was saved or not. This is just 1 week after my salvation. So for me, it became moments of endless praying and fasting as a very young boy. It was moments of extensive study of the scripture. I would just sit down and read the Bible. Little space that I had, then I would just stay there studying the Bible. Because of course I had 300 waiting people to teach the Word of God on Fridays and then on Sundays. I had people who needed healing. I had people who needed deliverance. I didn't know anything about deliverance and all of those things, but because of course I've been commissioned by force, so I had to learn to pray for people, cast out demons, just by trying. So that was majorly what I was engaged in after salvation. God doesn't disappoint people. That picture of disappointment sometimes is, or most of the times, is actually the devil twisting a situation more like to blackmail God. God doesn't disappoint people. God is the source of hope. He's the source of comfort. He said, I will send you the comforter. All right. And so God he won't twist his words. If you have gone through something that looked like it shook you, there's actually something waiting at the end of that tunnel for you, which is actually a very, very great future. Like in my own instance, my father, who had been my role model, had been like a major source of influence on my life, I watched him literally pass away, all right, when I needed him the most. And family members, people just thought, yeah, this is the end of it for these guys. But for me, that was like the beginning of my entry into a new dimension in God, because God gave me a completely different perspective. I saw it. I mean, I said it then when he passed away. I said I wasn't going to cry because his life had challenged me too much that I've never started living half of that life. So, and then I challenged my siblings. I said, guys, this is what God said to me. You guys run your own race. You have more than enough ahead of you. Run your own race. So that picture from God helped me not to misunderstand that season of my father's passing away. All right, so there's a picture from God. There's also a picture that Satan brings. Satan can bring that picture to say, guys, you see, you've been following God. You see now your dad has passed and all of that. But God brought his own picture and his own comforting words. All right, so I would say that source of despair is not from God. Open up to God and let him speak to you. You are just about to hit a major phase in your life that you will never forget. Thank you very much.